I must say this is intimidating for a couple of reasons. First, I got here early for the reception and walked in the room and saw everybody in the room was wearing a ribbon that said Genius on it, and I got Keynote. So I was not included in the Genius category. The second reason I guess it's a little intimidating is we graduated the business school last Friday at the U, and so I was the master of ceremonies, and the largest cheer and applause of the evening came when I announced we would have no speaker at the event. And that rings in my mind as I'm charged with being the speaker at this event. But I do hope to share just a few brief remarks with you. And at this kind of point in time when we're so many people in this room, I couldn't help but kind of reflect on and ask, where is the genius of 20, 30, and 40 years from now? Being an educator, and at core for all my titles, that's my lifelong career as educator, is really wondering about that and seeing some things that are, I think, a little disturbing and not the great confidence that I have that that's a sure thing in the future at all. I want to start with the much recognized and quoted statement of Thomas Edison that genius is when inspiration meets perspiration. If you do an internet Google search on that term, you'll actually find out that's the motto of a chain of women's weight loss clinics have adopted that as when inspiration meets perspiration. But Thomas Edison famously put the ratio of innovation or genius as 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration. He had, in his lifetime, individually or shared 1,093 patents that he produced. And I know from some of the companies that we've worked with at the university that the perspiration part is definitely a very big part of it, although it's not really something that just comes after, that very much the work people do in product development informs and inspires their work. We have a really interesting technology. When I prepared my remarks that this was getting a Genius Award as catheter connections. And to talk to the individuals who developed that product, the product is just beautifully elegant and simple, and you understand how it works immediately. The individuals who developed it spent 3 years finding the simple answer. And they had to go through a lot of very complex answers before they finally got at it. And so the perspiration very much informed their inspiration. The U.S. is a world leader in helping genius flourish. It's really a great legacy that we bring forward today. Our opportunity has been a magnet for the inspired worldwide. America is a place where hard work is rewarded and where genius is possible. And a lot of our genius has been, and our results of that have been that we welcomed immigrants and we gave them an opportunity. I think that I'm not an expert on immigration policy, but I think the rhetoric around immigration is often quite uninformed. It's a rhetoric of a fixed pie and that we will lose out to immigrants. Immigrants have grown the pie for us tremendously and made a real difference. Other countries are catching up with the U.S. They have recognized that the folks leaving their country and coming to the U.S. have contributed greatly to our economy, and they're asking them to come back, and they're doing a whole lot more in their home country to make genius possible. India, China, Korea, they all get it, and they're working very hard. So can we sustain our advantage? And I would argue that we've benefited for a long time from the mining of genius. And the world has sent us their folks, and they've come here and they've succeeded, and we have benefited enormously from it. But the problem of mining is it's a finite resource. And so the challenge I'm going to talk a little bit about is how do we grow and create genius in our own society and with all the infinite possibilities that it presents. Are we growing and cultivating our own? And I want to start at the point of departure, an important concept in psychology. It's used also in qualification of drugs. But in psychology is this notion called efficacy. And efficacy simply means, do I believe I can do it or not? And as my grandma used to say, can't diet on the fence post whenever we said I can't do it. But the reality is if people think we know psychologically, if they believe they cannot do something, it turns out to be right. That is one of the world's greatest self-fulfilling prophecies to say I cannot do it. And I think that the idea of I can do it and I will try to do it is very important in the genius equation. That maybe it's part of inspiration leading to perspiration, but the notion of I will try is extremely important. And what's most important about it is it starts a learning cycle. Once people start trying and they try to make something work, in every attempt they learn something from that. And in the course of learning it, they will make their idea a good one. And I'm going to circle back to that notion when I wrap up. So my first question, and really the core of my comments, are what are the enemies of try? What are the things that prevent people from trying? And are we really reaching out and encouraging all people to try and to realize their talents that are associated with trying, their personal genius?